Mhm. Okay, so wanted to get started asking about the development of the script for the film and what the inspiration was behind the story and what that process was like overall and really getting the script together.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started developing the script a couple of years ago, initially as a feature film, because I kind of thought that, this is a story that could easily span a whole film.
Mhm.
And I had a treatment for the feature that I was working on, and then at some point I saw that there was opportunity to apply for short funding in Quebec. So I thought I would start with that and then see if I could take this kind of seed of an idea, bring it to a short, and then see if I might want to continue working on it for a feature. Um, in terms of sort of like the creative process and where the idea came from, I was really initially kind of inspired by the idea of codependency between parents and children, and kind of how sometimes when there's a parent who is maybe not well or unstable, the child can have to grow up really quickly and face adult responsibilities. And so that was kind of the theme I wanted to explore. And then the story kind of came from there.
Mhm. And also, besides writing the script, I also wanted to ask about you then going on to direct the short and what that experience was like to also direct the film and what your overall approach was to directing while on.
Yeah. So as far as directing goes, I've mostly produced in the past. I'm mostly a producer, but then the past couple of years, I've been interested in directing as well. And my girlfriend and I have directed a couple of shorts that also played at Fantasia together, and those are kind of a product of our joint efforts. And then when I wrote this, it felt like kind of my story and something that I really wanted to kind of tackle with my own unique approach and to sort of like, explore themes that are particular to my interests and visuals that are also particular to kind of my style and influences. So I was really inspired with directing, kind of like to really work on cinematography is a big part of what I wanted to kind of strengthen my approach in. And so I watched a ton of films, and I actually looked at a lot of artwork and kind of just worked with my DOP to sculpt the look of the film, which was one of the biggest tasks I think with this project.
Mhm. Also, speaking about the cinematography, I also wanted to ask about that and was about to ask about how you figured out the visual tone for the film and just your overall approach to really figuring out the cinematography. So,
Yeah, I think well, like the script itself is inspired by gothic fiction. And so when I was looking at kind of developing the script, the visuals, I wanted to look at also older artworks that were kind of from the same time period. And then I stumbled upon the pre-Raphaelites, which often had like imagery of witchcraft or sorcery, and were also kind of from the Victorian period where the Gothic genre was sort of born, and it kind of gelled really quickly from there. That I was like, oh, I want to do something that kind of like harkens to the roots of the Gothic genre in the Victorian era, but I want it to be different in the sense that I want it to feel lighthearted, like more, not lighthearted, it's not the right word, but fantasy like and kind of more
mm,
beautiful rather than this more dark or dreary look that I think a lot of people associate with the Gothic.
yeah. Mm. And I also wanted to ask about the cast and what that process was like as well, and finding the actresses who appear in the film.
Yeah, I'm so lucky to have found the cast that I found. I love them so much. I initially did a casting call with the help of a casting consultant to find the mother character, Christine. And we found Catherine Berube, and she's a fairly well known actress here in Quebec. So I actually wrote her a letter offering her the role and explaining why I thought she would be a good fit. So that's how I found her. And then for the lead of Cassie, um, I uh, I did a casting call through several agencies, and I looked at a ton of different kids, all like fair range of ages, all different backgrounds, and I just fell in love with the self tape for Lake Delil, who's the who we ended up casting, and I just thought she had this amazing energy and this kind of soft power that I thought was really compelling, and it really stood out. So I did a call back with her, and we got along really well. So I decided to do that and to go with her. And let me see. Something else that I can speak about with regards to casting, which I think was kind of interesting and a little bit different, was I actually worked with a diversity and inclusion consultant through the whole process, whose name is Alba Daza, and she's awesome. And she also did art direction on the film. And as a director, I'm kind of interested in rethinking the ways in which people do casting because I think it's still pretty early days for trying to, update this process a little bit. And so I worked with Alba to kind of um, consider different options for the cast while we were still looking. And then when we did find Lake, we kind of considered the different ways that we could kind of cast the family, which would focus not only on the performance, but also on each character's background and how that might influence their role in the story. And that was something unique that I hadn't done before, but Alba was amazing in making that happen.
I also read that the movie had a lot of women on the crew as well, and with all women in the cast. Why was that so important to you as well to have such like a female-driven story as well in filmmaking, crew and cast overall?
Um, yeah, so for that aspect, I think it comes really naturally to me. I started working mostly with women and queer people a couple of years ago, just kind of from an organic sense of wanting to work with people that I get along with. And I really felt that there was a space to kind of grow that more. And I kind of wanted to commit to, trying to trying to have sets that were mostly women and mostly queer people, just because it is kind of different than the mainstream.
Mhm.
And I think it's really great to be able to create with people that I relate to and that relate to me. And I think that always makes for a really kind of special experience, I think.
And once the cast signed on, what was the experience like also of getting to work with them and building their characters as well throughout the production?
With the cast?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it was so much fun. I worked a lot with mostly with Lake, the lead, who plays Cassie. And so at the time she was 12, and Margot, who plays Fee, the younger sister, was 6. And so one of the first things that I did with Lake was she and her mom came over, and we worked on creating a storybook version of the film. And so it was kind of a way to explore the plot, but in more of a story and rather than just a script, because I think, sometimes kids are more acquainted with story format, and kind of it helps to understand like the characters' feelings and emotions and the plot points. And so Lake and I made and decorated this really cute book together that was the story of where the witch lives. And then when Margot came for her rehearsal, Lake read it to her as kind of a
Mhm.
telling her about the story.
And
and so that
well,
helped a lot. Yeah.
while I was watching the film, I also really liked the house and the location where you filmed and wanted to ask about that experience and really finding the property and really being able to shoot there as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, the location I think for a gothic film is pretty much everything. Like you really need that spooky house to kind of sell the experience and kind of immerse people in that world. And so I have to say I looked at hundreds and hundreds of listings online, and my producer and I drove out like scouting, knocking on doors. And then I eventually found this B&B where we shot via Facebook actually. And this young owner who had at one point gone to the same film school as me had just recently bought this like Victorian style B&B in rural Quebec and was kind of trying to get that off the ground. And because he comes from a film background, he's really amenable to like having a crew there. And so some of us stayed on site, and other others stayed nearby at a motel. But yeah, it was like as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is it. This is really a it's quite rare to find that type of architecture in Quebec. Like I find it's quite unique to have a house that's so it looks more like New England almost rather than Quebec. So that was pretty interesting.
And now with the movie premiering at Fantasia and being able to go back to the festival, what's that experience been like as well to be able to share the movie with audiences there as well?
It's been wonderful, I have to say. I had been attending Fantasia virtually for the past 2 years, which is also fantastic. And we got to do some online Q&As and still connect with people online. But it's been my first time back at the festival since before the pandemic, obviously, and to be there with a film and like feeling everyone's excitement to be back in the theater was really special. And one of my favorite parts was just also being able to invite the cast and crew to come and see the film that we all worked on, their film, my film, like all on the big screen. And the cast could come and the crew could come. And I think that was just wonderful. And to kind of see everyone's hard work like displayed was just a really nice feeling.
Mhm. And now that the movie premiered at Fantasia, do you have plans for other festivals or how you want to release the film that you can also discuss? And just maybe in general, what are you planning on having the film play at, or just in general, what's coming up next for the film? Mhm.
So, we're right at the beginning of our festival journey. We only finished the film a couple of weeks before Fantasia, and so when I found out we would have our world premiere there, I was really excited and kind of rushing to get everything done. And so now we're gonna keep applying. We're working with the distributor, Film de 12 Mouse. And they're going to be also helping find, interesting opportunities for the film. I don't have anything lined up yet, but I have a feeling it will be soon to come. And hopefully, we'll end up at a place online so everyone can watch it at some point.
Okay, I think that was mainly it, but thank you again for taking the time today to speak with me. I appreciate
Thank you. It was really
it.
nice chatting with you.
You too. Thank you again.